So we're going into our third year now in our new membership model, and we actually started in 2016 with that, and I started as director in 2017, and it's been fun ever since then. I did a little roundup for 2018 and what's happened up until now in 2019, sort of bullet posts, and some highlights here. So we've been busy. We've held information booths, thanks to Catherine, at 9 different conferences, and have seen over 2,300 visits at these information booths. And a lot of really good things come from that. Collections, questions, our visits into our collections and your collections. We've had a couple of interviews that came out of that and some presentations, so it's really great. We've also been busy presenting. Some notable presentations during that timeline include DLF, SEMA, DPLA Fest, ULA, and Code for Lib. We've had some promotional interviews, I mentioned that, with a local family history blog. Again, a lot of visibility for that with that. Had a brief television appearance on KUED. And we were also interviewed for an IMLS class at Emporia State University, so some interest from future librarians as well. We've been very busy writing our blog posts, and actually that's Keegan Dome. He's been working really hard on that, so if you haven't taken a look, please do so. We are also on a new platform now for our blogs. We're using in WordPress, that's right. It's a more modern interface and easy to work with. And we really would want to work with you, by the way, in promoting your collection. So if there's a sign-up sheet that's going around, so please mark a couple of months that work for you, and we can contact you to help you with your promotions, either interviews or something that's coming up in your organization or your library, or some Facebook posts or a blog post. So that really does help with visibility. And we do try to be fair and cycle through our partner collections as you promote the content and your content, our content, but it really does help if we can work with you. Some of my favorite blog posts were a roundup summary of the 2018 events at MWDL. Please check that out if you haven't seen that. And there's one highlighting the representation of pop culture in MWDL, and that was kind of fun. All right. That worked, okay. So governance, right. We have 13 members on the governing body, 3 non-UALC member repository voting representatives, 2 non-voting ex officio, that's myself and Parker Doherty, who's the budget director for MWDL, 2 collection partner voting representatives, 5 voting representatives of UALC, and 1 voting rep from MWDL's host institution, and that's the Marriott Library. And if you have any questions about the structure of that and how that works, please do ask me. I'm posting this for you to see, and it might not be very easy for you to read. We had some vacancies which we filled recently while staying in compliance with the governing body guidelines, which states that the service of governing body members shall be staggered so that no more than 4 or fewer than 3 members are elected or appointed to new terms annually. So we had to follow that guideline and kind of develop this cycle. And I don't know if you can see the color coding very well, but this table should show when the term for each member begins in each category and when it ends, and at what point in the duration of the term each member is in. And I'm actually sending out some nominations and election information for the governing body nominees next week, so watch out for that. That should go out to the hubs. So we went platinum, which means we hit 1 million. We're actually over that right now. And this is created at the bottom, the platinum record, fictitiously given to us by Keegan Dome. So that was great. There was a blog post about that. We're very excited. And our numbers match with DPLA as well. I think we're pretty current with that. Right? Okay, and Teresa will talk more about metadata in a little bit. So we do our very best to stay connected and engage with our partners and the community, and we're connecting throughout the year. So as you know, biannual meetings, we do a winter hub meeting, and if you guys have a better idea of how to collaborate more and how to engage more, please let us know. It does take time, but it is truly rewarding because we learn more about what you're doing, and I think we come back sort of more excited and ready to do better work or even more work than we're already doing. So please let us know. And also, we're starting our annual conference, which is in person, of course. It used to be more like a meeting format before, and that's been really great also. And we also open up our second day to the community. So anytime we make these conference announcements, if you can let people know in the community who may be interested in learning about digitization best practices, hosting, or the thing about purchasing scanners, starting a digitization lab, future of digital libraries, digital preservation, please let them know and encourage them to attend our conference and register. All right, so like DPLA, we also like to keep our partners informed. We provide monthly statistics, so you should be getting analytics from us. And some of you that don't get them, they're probably going to your hub contact. That's why we encourage everybody to update that list for us. And of course, currently we're at 17 members, and this number is from the hub network, but we also have a very large extended network. Some people are like, but you are at around 700 partners. So we have the extended partners through the sub-partner groups and the collection content partners as well. Our annual membership dues are $7,500, so they're still the same. They haven't changed for the first repository, and $3,750 for the second repository. And then, of course, we have the 2 renewal cycles. You're aware of that. Cycle A renews in June. That's where we do most of our invoices, and Cycle B renews in January. So I'm also sending those out fairly soon. And as a side note, I don't think we have anyone from Arizona Memory Project right now, but we should have Ryan come in, and he's going to join us later. His flight was delayed. But they're very serious about joining with MWDL, and I think they're probably going to join after the summer. So that's kind of exciting. They used to be members, but when we moved to the membership model, they didn't quite have the funding, and so they're back with us, and we get the great content, and we get to work with them again. So that's wonderful. So we are into a 1.5-year-old membership structure with DPLA since they moved to their membership model. And our annual membership dues with them are $12,000, and this number represents dues for a multi-state hub. Membership for a single state hub is $10,000. And MWDL is scheduled on a quarterly ingest cycle with DPLA for ingestion, and Teresa works with them on that, and we're on the newest ingest platform called Ingest 3. DPLA's annual conference, DPLA Fest, was actually recently held in Chicago over 3 days, and started first with a network council meeting, and both Teresa and I attended and presented. And if you want more information about that, is there a link there? Yes, there is a link there. You can check that out. And we'll be hearing more from DPLA tomorrow from John Bracken, who's the executive director of DPLA. So that'll be kind of neat. And if you have any questions for them that you've been thinking about, please ask. Right. So here. All right, so MWDL is also a member of the DPLA Network Council. Like I mentioned, I sit on that, and DPLA also has a small working group, or they have working groups, smaller working groups that meet year-round, just like our task forces. And Teresa sits on the metadata working group, and that's been really great. So we really try to stay involved by participating in discussions during the Network Council meetings and in the facilitation during their bigger conferences. And so it's nice to be engaged with them and to see what's going on. And DPLA does a really good job of keeping its members informed on how their collections are doing on the portal, and they share monthly statistics also, and this is what their dashboard kind of looks like. And you may not be able to see it very well, but if you look at the long trend over the years, so this is from January of this year, what we've seen in the statistics, that on average, increasingly more activities happening with DPLA through MWDL, and so that's been pretty good. And I think a lot of this also has to do with the promotional work that we've been doing on our end, and you've been helping us with that. Okay, and so if you see over down below on the left-hand corner, the analytics dashboard also shows that DPLA has faceted their members' content into helpful categories like browse by topics and primary source sets. And this is a really good example of how much use our collections are getting through those two facets. And by the way, we are at number 8, so among the top 10 content contributors to DPLA, which is really great. And so currently, total number of partners for DPLA is 41. And I was just looking at the numbers for the month of May, and we had over 2,000 primary source set views from the MWDL collections. And the amazing thing is that we have content coming from all of our members, pretty much. We had DHA, we had U of U, including Eccles and Faust, USU, UVU, BYU, also BYU Law, Oregon Digital, Idaho, Weber State, Westminster, UNR, UNLV, Utah State Archives, Salt Lake Community College. So it's really highly used, and that's great. get a lot of traffic through that. How much time do I have? Because I think we were a little bit short of time anyway. No, because...
Well, no, I mean, well, our break starts at, wait, 2:15.
2:15. All right.
You're fine.
Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit about our website project. So we've been live with our new website as of April of last year, so that we were in compliance with Google's SEO requirements and also with the mobile interfaces. And we received pretty good feedback from our users. No complaints, so that's been good. But because we're 100% represented online, we're continuing our sort of lit review of, we want to make sure that people have a good experience when they're on our website and they can easily find what they're looking for. So we're also currently doing comparisons review by looking at other like collections, so like websites. So we're looking at DPLA, digital library websites such as the Digital Library of Georgia that just moved to a new website, the Big Sky Country Digital Network, Plains to Peaks Collective, Ohio Digital Network, and Minnesota Digital Library. And so far it's looking pretty good. And Andrew is actually working on going through a task list and actually going through the tasks. We're making the comparisons. So we'll have a report out on that fairly soon and see if we need to make any updates. Oops.
Wiggle the mouse.
Wiggle the mouse. Where is
On
the
the
mouse?
podium.
Did the projector shut down?
I can see it back here, so I think so.
All right. Okay, I'm just going to continue to talk so that we can at least cover some things. I did want to show you a graph or two. So right now what we're doing is looking at your analytics from the collections. We're trying to graph them. So I've been working with Andrew, our web developer, on that. So we can get a bird's eye view of how your collections are looking every month. So, okay, and I was going to show you some examples of the Buffalo Bill Center collection because it was small enough to show on a single graph and display on the projector. But, for example, we saw that in March, they had a lot of hits, and it turned out, and I looked into that a little bit, we helped with some of their promotions, and they also had some events at their library or at their center, so, that really helps. And also, if you look at the MWDL stats, and you can do website comparisons, statistic comparisons with all of the other partners, we saw that we do a lot of promotion during the beginning of the year. So in fall semester, there's a big spike, so that's, I think, a lot of students. And also during finals, which is in December, we get a lot of people coming in and looking through our content. So the promotion really, really helps, so please help us with that. We would love for your collections to be noticed. That's why we're doing this. So we'd love to work with you. And I think Teresa, let me just show you the graph. Oops. Okay. Let's go back. All right. So here's what I wanted to show you. So if I'm glad you can't read that because you can actually see your comparison, the visits to your website, to your repository, so for your collections into MWDL. And but here's finals week, here's the peak. And this was, let's see, December of 2018. And again, in August. And then I think there was another thing that I wanted to show you. So this is the Buffalo Bill Center. It's like what's happening over here. But anytime we do a promotion, we do see like a spike, and then we have questions from users about the collections, and it's pretty cool. Okay. Have any time?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that.
It's 2:07.
Okay.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Teresa Hebron, for those who don't know me, and I'm the digital metadata librarian here for Mountain West Digital Library. And I promise I'll talk quick and not get between us and cookies, because it could get ugly in this room. We don't want that. I was just going to say first, it's really hard to believe that this is already my second annual conference. It feels like 2 seconds ago I was standing in this room giving my interview presentation, but I guess that means we've been really busy. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little update on what's been going on with harvesting first, and then we'll talk about some projects, and then we'll have some cookies. So first of all, 2019 overall has been a little slower so far in terms of harvesting new collections in comparison with last year, for example, but we've had 25 new collections from a variety of institutions, including Salt Lake Community College, Utah State Archives, Utah State University, the University of Utah, and also the Utah Department of Heritage and Arts. I'm not surprised at that, since the last year was kind of a catch-up year, having not had anyone in this position for a year to 18 months, I think. So, and we had some big projects last year, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We also had 2 reharvests already this year. So when Utah Valley University went hosted, we redid their content DM now that they're in the cloud, and that went very smoothly. And also Salt Lake Community College's reharvest after server migration last fall that finally got everything back online. And then, as Kinza was mentioning a couple minutes ago, hi Ryan, welcome. You came just in time. A new or old collaboration, I guess, with Arizona Memory Project is on the horizon. So we've been talking to Ryan and other folks down in Arizona since the beginning of the year, really, about the process of getting them re-onboarded with Mountain West. So over the summer here, we're looking at probably doing some testing in our sandbox of those collections, looking at how things are looking. And then as the year wears on, I think we're going to be doing a large-scale audit of new collections coming in, and then a reharvest of everything. So that's really exciting to be having them back in the network. DPLA, we've had 2 of our 4 quarterly harvests already this year. That was in February and May, both of which went very smoothly and has left us with 1,072,000 items in DPLA. That doesn't change our relative position as the 8th largest hub in the network, but I think Kinza said, what, 40? There's 40-something? 41.
That was last month, but they've made some announcements.
Okay. Yeah, there was actually a new DPLA hub announced today. The Vermont Green Mountain Collective has gone live as of today or yesterday, I guess, so congrats to them. Yeah, you know, like I said, that hasn't changed anything relatively speaking, but the work you're doing over the last year, onboarding, for example, Oregon Digital, reharvesting the Marriott Library new Solfile platform, getting a lot of new collections from Boise State University and Utah State Archives, and then also major reharvests from Brigham Young, Archives West, Weber State. All of those pushed Mountain West over the 1 million mark late in last year, and I think that was the first time that's happened, or at least the first time since I've been here. So it's the first time. All right, so projects. We've had a number of metadata and systems-related projects going on. First, and for me foremost anyway, because it feels like we finally did something, I'm really pleased to say the new search portal look and feel went live earlier this week. You may have seen my email to the news list. And that was a culmination of a lot of work over the last year, but primarily since the beginning of the year. So I want to suffice it to say, I don't think we could have done it without all the feedback that we got through the survey we ran earlier this year. So thanks to everyone who participated in that. You know, we used that to flesh out little weird quirks in the UI and make some little tweaks here and there. And I'm really excited to have that finished. So every time you do a search now from our external website, you're going to be launched into the new look and feel. So be sure to check it out. And it does have a true mobile interface. So if you're on your phones right now, you could actually see it right now. So the next thing is, this spring I was running a project with 2 University of Michigan graduate students, 2 library students, Tori Cox and Olivia Oudsma are their names, looking at how we can overhaul how we manage collections in Mountain West Digital Library. So I'm spewing you a screenshot here because we don't have a lot of time, but I hope it's not a big secret. We're managing things with a big spreadsheet. It's not very sexy, but it does work. But it is very large and it's very old, and we've also started storing a lot of data in it over the years and over many managers that probably doesn't really belong in there. There's some stat stuff and some weird notes and some Twitter handles and all kinds of stuff that doesn't really have anything to do with the laundry list of collections that we're keeping track of. So remotely, I was managing these 2 students who were enrolled in a digital curation mastery course, and their objectives were, according to their syllabus, to demonstrate their knowledge and skills in digital curation through completion of a client-based project with a specific outcome. So we met several times via Zoom over their winter semester. They evaluated a couple of different platforms that we could use to host and manage this metadata. And they ultimately recommended the use of Access to Memory, or ATOM, which is an open source archival system out of Canada. And they did a local test. They stood up a local instance of it on a test server on one of their machines. They migrated a sample of our data into it, and it looked really great. So I'm very excited about that. And they also provided a data crosswalk as well as a report to us about how we could do that. So I can see on your faces you're probably thinking open source is free, like a puppy is free, and you're right. But we already have some projects that we're running like this. For example, our metadata auditing tool is a project that was open source that we've been able to maintain over a number of years now. So I think we have a track record of being able to take these things on, and we'll be looking at that more as the year wears on. So we've also been working on the metadata application profile revision, but we have a whole task force report about that coming up, so I'm not going to go into that. And the last couple things, starting with this last harvest in DPLA, I started talking to staff there about how we can populate the standardized rights field in DPLA. So we have really good completion across our network of rights, but our rights statements are mostly very verbose and not standardized. So they actually have, or they prefer to have the data in a separate field. And for those partners in the network who are using URL-based statements, and there are a few of you, I found a way to copy that data into a previously unused field, and we're going to map that in the next harvest in August. So we'll see how that comes out and if that's more useful to them, because they're starting to do more work around using those URLs to, for example, provide open content identifiers on the objects in the DPLA search portal. Okay, so finally, we revived our webinar series. This was kind of dormant for a while, and we had we've had one really great presentation already this year that was from Emily Boss and Nathan Girth of UN Reno. That was in January about their 2018 island DORA migration, and we're looking forward to our next webinar, which is going to be on the 17th. That's next Monday after next. And it's going to be by Seth Shaw and Emily Lapworth at UNLV about their island DORA 8 migration. So we committed to a quarterly schedule on that, and we've tentatively lined up some topics for the rest of the year, like a presentation about copyright and rights statements, and then also possibly something from folks who are working on the Mellon Grant project here at Marriott Library and the Utah Museum of Fine Arts. But if you are interested in presenting, it's just web-based. It's about 45 minutes, so it's not too big of a commitment. Please say something to Kinza or I. And we're already looking forward to 2020, so we have lots of space. And with that, we're going into the break, so let's get some snacks. Woohoo!